In this episode, we head to Tinsel Town into a galaxy far, far away. So, stick around. Hello friends, and welcome to my side of the laundry room. My name's Rob, and in this episode we continue our Disney World Week celebration here at the channel. Today we talk about our third day in the parks, which was at Hollywood Studios. Before we get started, there are two things I would like to talk about. One of them is this shirt. It's a tie-dye shirt that I made myself, and I did it at the Fort Wilderness Resort. It was something I forgot when I was talking about Fort Wilderness in the first episode of the week. And there were a lot of things at Fort Wilderness that kind of made it like a summer camp. I mean, all the resorts do things like movie nights and have games and things like that. But this is the first time we've noticed that you could do a tie-dye event, if you will. And we had to sign up for it. You reserve your time and you buy the shirts. And this is a Halloween one. It's a Mickey pumpkin, and me and my son got the pumpkin. My wife and daughter got, it's a Mickey head done in spider webs. That's really cool. And we all got to tie-dye them, and I think they all turned out pretty cool. One of the things is they wrap them up, and they say, don't open them in 7 days. So there's kind of like a mild anxiety of, I hope it turns out okay, because there's nothing we can do about it because we're back at home. Anyway, the second thing I wanted to talk about was, I love all the Disney World parks. And of course I have my listing of where they rank in my personal opinion. But that being said, I was so excited to get to Hollywood Studios because there were two rides that weren't there last time we were there that were finally open, and I was excited to try them. Unfortunately, the day didn't work out as I had planned, but we still had a wonderful time. In a world without fast passes at the time, and pre-Genie by a few days, it's kind of the Wild West. You kind of are forging your own path. Like I've mentioned, we would always do touring plans and come up with our plans with our fast passes on it and have this very linear structure of how our day would go, and it felt nice to be orderly and have a plan. This trip was very chaotic but very orderly, and we did a lot of things that I don't think we would have been able to do if we followed a set path. But anyway, the first thing that we wanted to do was either do Rise of the Resistance or Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. They were both new. The last time we were at Disney, Rise of the Resistance hadn't opened yet. It was opening shortly after we left, but we just weren't able to be there at the right time to try it out. And Mickey's opened up in the 2 years since our previous trip, and we were super excited to try that as well. So we made the decision. What was going to be the first ride we were going to do and take advantage of our half an hour before the rest of the people got to the park? And we chose the Mickey ride. And believe me, I don't regret that decision at all, because Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is a fantastic ride. There's just something so magical about being in a ride surrounded by the original Disney characters. Goofy, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy. It's fantastic. Honestly, there could have been a little bit more Donald within it, but I ain't hating. It was still very fun, and probably ranks as our #1 ride of all Walt Disney World. There was just something so pure and magical about it. It's a trackless car ride that really does some really innovative things. It's not 3D, which was nice because you don't have to worry about the 3D glasses, especially with my wife and I wearing glasses. So you just enjoy it as it is, and it's fantastic. Like with the Ratatouille ride that I mentioned in the last episode, it does a lot of neat dynamic things with screen and 4D aspects, as wind blowing in your face and things like that. There are no water effects or anything like that, but they do a great job with what they have. So the plan was, after that, to head to Galaxy's Edge and try to do Rise of the Resistance. Unfortunately, in that short amount of time, the wait was already at 120 minutes. Now, Rise of the Resistance used to have a virtual queue, like we experienced with the Ratatouille ride, but I think due to public outcry, they removed it. And I kind of wish they didn't. I mean, yeah, we learned the pitfalls of the virtual line, but it does have its place, and it does kind of secure you a turn. So, when we saw that we weren't able to get on Rise of the Resistance, we stayed at Galaxy's Edge, and we got in line for Smuggler's Run. And that was a very hefty line. I'm glad we attacked it early within the day, because if we had to wait in that line while we were fatigued from our day, I probably would have not enjoyed it as much. But I just love that line because of all the awesome things you can look at. I mean, they have just a great slice of life of a hangar in the Star Wars universe. I mean, you get to see weapons, you get to see droids, you get to see a spaceship being worked on. I mean, it's just really cool. And we had a great time in the Smuggler's Run ride when we finally got to it. We let the kids be the pilots, my wife and I were the gunners, and single riders were the engineers. And they did a pretty good job. I mean, it was a very bumpy ride with a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old piloting the Millennium Falcon, but it was a lot of fun. After that, we got a couple photo pass things, we did some shopping. I got this really cool thing. Hold on a second. I got this wooden Boba Fett toy. One of the things I appreciate about the stalls in the little shopping area is they try to make things seem indigenous to the Star Wars universe. So the toys, they weren't selling, Star Wars action figures. They were selling things like this that could feasibly be toys that the people in the Star Wars world would play with. I mean, I'm sure there's dorks in a galaxy far, far away that are collecting things like this and probably bickering on social media. So anyway, we did that. I got this hat, and we just enjoyed ourselves. And from there, we went to lunch at Pizza Rizzo's, which was our first time eating there, and it was actually really good. I mean, you would think that a quick meal pizza place wouldn't be that good, but it was really good, and I recommend it. And of course, since we're there, we went over to Muppets 3D and had a blast, as we always do with that show. From there, we headed to Toy Story Land, and one of the rides that we wanted to get on so bad, one of my, my kids' favorite rides is Slinky Dog. And unfortunately, like Rise of the Resistance, it had like a 2-hour wait. And we thought, with that 2 hours, there's a lot of other things we could do. So we got on Toy Story Mania. We quickly got on, and I love that ride. That's one of my favorites. I mean, it's just a fun experience with the little pop guns, and we always have fun, looking at our scores afterwards. And from there, we jumped on the swirling saucers, had a good time, and see, where did we go after that? I actually think after that, we hit like the Disney Junior dance thing, we did the Frozen stage show, did the Beauty and the Beast stage show, which was phenomenal. That was really fun. I mean, all the little shows are great there. I mean, and that I think a lot of people hate on that stuff, but we're dealing with Hollywood studios, and that's a Hollywood thing to have shows and people acting and singing, and yeah, it's just a good way to get out of the heat, enjoy yourself, relax for a little bit, have a good time. After that, we went to Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, which is just fun. I love the animatronic Lightning McQueen. I think it's fantastic. They did a phenomenal job with it, and I have fun. The kids have fun. I mean, you get to shout out things with Mater, and yeah, it's just a good, just easy going time, out of the heat, just fun. After that, again, we wanted to do this whole rider swap thing, and my wife wanted to do the rock and roller coaster, the Aerosmith one, and I was going to get on after her, and she went on it, the kids and I did a little bit of shopping on the, main drag there, and we had a good time. I got them a couple little stuffed animals. They were in, seventh heaven because of that, and finally met back up with my wife. We looked at the time, and I'm like, you know what? Instead of us breaking up as a group again, let's just power on together, and I'll get on the rock and roller coaster next time. Kind of regret not getting on it, but I wanted to keep the train a-rolling and just have family time. Didn't want to break up the group any more than we already did. So after that, we did Star Tours, kind of did some shopping, and Star Tours, we had a great lineup. I mean, I think I'm right about this, that it's always random. You never know what planets or what adventures you'll get into on the ride. So it was really cool. We got the Hoth scenario, which was awesome. We saw herds of Tauntaun, so great. We ran into Boba Fett, which was awesome. He attacked our ship. And then we ended up running into the Death Star, like in Return of the Jedi, going through it and blowing up the reactor core. So it was a really fun experience. I think we got some really cool random places in our ride. So we did some shopping in the Star Wars world, and it was time for dinner, and we ate at the Sci-Fi Cafe, which was super cool. It was neat to sit in the car. It was cool to watch the old trailers of, 50s and 60s sci-fi and horror playing. The kids kind of didn't like that. Some of the stuff kind of unnerved them and had to do a lot of explaining to how the culture of the world and cinema was at the time. So that was kind of fun explaining that stuff to them, but I don't think they truly got it or appreciated it. But they enjoyed it for what it was, and like with most of the meals, they got a little dessert with it, so they were happy about that. So after that, we did a little bit more walking around, and we had planned on getting back on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway because it was our favorite and we wanted to experience it again, but the ride went down. It broken down. So it was one of those scenarios where we were at the right place at the right time, because as we're walking by, I'm seeing some people milling around and people getting in pretty much a non-existent line. They're going through the ropes and everything and heading inside. So I asked a cast member that's working there, I said, is this working again? And they said, oh yeah, it just got back online. So boom, we ran in, got to experience it again, and it was as equally as fun, because depending on what car you're on in Goofy's train, you kind of go off into different areas and can see new things. I mean, you all experience the same things, just at different places within the rooms, if you will. So it was neat. We got to see some new things and experience a different ride, which was kind of neat, because the first ride was more herky-jerky to zip in and out of stuff. This one was more smooth because of just where we were in the line, that we just went into the things, while before it was kind of hectic jumping, putting us into the different rooms of the ride. So that was really awesome. From there, it was time to call it a night. I mean, unfortunately, there are some big attractions we missed out on because of the lines, but they'll be there next time. We also never do Tower of Terror because the kids are scared of that, and I mean, I've ridden it before, I survived, but that's just not a good enough reason for them to want to do it. So sometime in the future we will ride it, and I mean, it's a great ride. From personal experience, I enjoyed it. I'm usually not a drop ride person, but just the whole pre-show and the special effects and everything make it a great ride. So anyway, it was a good day of seeing some shows, riding some rides, going to a galaxy far, far away, and just enjoying the whole Tinsel Town experience, and doing a little bit of shopping along the way. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everybody. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this, or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you will be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, Thanks for watching. Keep being rad and stay dorky.